You can use CC cream if you want, but I'm going to use the Time Wise Luminous for the 4th of July makeup. And I'm going to apply it with the liquid foundation brush in part. You see how this is kind of like that? I'm going to put some on here. Like about that much for this side, and I'm just going to stipple that on. You can put more if you want. It just depends on how like dramatic of a look you want. How I can't think what I'm trying to say. I can't think and do stuff at the same time a lot of times. And then once I've kind of gotten the product distributed well, then I'm going to do it like this. Oh, I forgot about concealer. I can go back and do that now. Or I'll wait till I get the rest of my face done. Actually, no. I'm going to do it now. So this is a new trick that I just learned. You put the product, put a few dots where you need it the most. Like that. And then you blend it with the cream color brush, which I can't find right now. Here it is. That allows you to get close to your eye without hopefully getting it in your eye. If you do happen to get some on your waterline like I did, you can just do like that and just wipe it off. And you can use your finger too, but if you're going to use your finger, use your 4th finger. Now look how much better that side looks. Oh, I'm going to do the foundation on the other side. Couldn't tell if that was a shadow or eyeshadow. And you can put that concealer wherever you might need it. I'm looking closely to be sure that I'm not. Because if you have, and I've heard people say this differently, if you have fallout from your eyeshadow, I've heard people say to put concealer on top of it. I don't agree with that. That's why I do my eyeshadow before I do my face. Because if there is any like eyeshadow that falls down here, you can just take some eye makeup remover and just swipe it away and then continue on. Okay, so now I'm going to do my forehead with foundation. And I like the blending brush for that. It has thousands of bristles. This is literally just called blending. Interestingly enough, the French is estomper. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I took French for 5 years. I should be able to pronounce that right. Just a little bit. And the thing I like about this brush is it allows me to get into these little corners. I have a very low forehead, and that other brush is just not enough. It's too big to really blend around my eyebrows and to get into my temples real well and between my eyebrows. which of course you can use your fingers if that works everywhere, and not use either of those brushes. But I think that the makeup goes on, it definitely goes on more smoothly when you use the brush than it does when you use your fingers. Okay, so now I am going to use the powder and the blush and the highlighter. Now, I have read two different things about this. One says, I always thought you should put your blush on before you put your powder on, because if you do that, then it sticks to the wet, the kind of dampish foundation. But then I read recently, according to Mary Kay, you want to go in with your finishing powder and just dust it all over your face. And you can put it also, you could also have used that to blend out the blue eyeshadow. But now that I've dusted this powder all over my face, I'm going to go in with the cheek color brush and go into the blush, and I'm going to try just tapping that on where I want it. Now, this isn't the best color for a 4th of July look. I ordered the Rogue Rose, and I'm still waiting for it to come. This one, give me a minute, I'll think of the name of it. Not Hint of Pink. Darling Pink. This one is Darling Pink. So it gives a little bit of color without being too overpowering. And then I'm going to just see how this is angled. I'm going into this color so that maybe the bottom of the brush gets more pink on it, but the top of it gets the highlighter. And then I'm just going to go on top of the blush and around the side. And I have a smaller brush that I can do that with also if I want it in a more of a corner. But you can see how that's giving me some kind of glistening power. And I'm even going to just go in that and put that on the end of my nose. You can put it on your forehead. Kind of makes you look like you've been to the beach. And then it looks like this. I might want to go back over that with this brush, because I'm doing it on camera, so I can't see what I'm doing as well. Blend that a little better. And then, of course, I can go back in, which I'll take care of now for the eyeliner. So I'm going to be using the Mary Kay waterproof liquid eyeliner pen. It is a nice felt tip pen. And depending on how much eyelid space you have, depending on whether you have hooded eyes or not, will determine how thick this line is going to be. I'm going to try to make it as thin as possible. And I am going to use the mirror. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot while I'm doing this. I'm just going to just lightly do little dashes. And you can make the line as thick as you want to. If you mess up, you can just make the line thicker. So I'm fairly satisfied with that. So I could go all the way down, but I feel like that will pull my eye down. So I'm just going to go a little bit further down this way. And about right here is where I'm going to try to do the wing. So this is very tricky, but once you get it, it's a lot easier. And I always have an easier time on my right eye because I'm right-handed, I suppose. Just decide where you want that line to be, where you want the wing to end. Maybe about right here. And I am holding my hand to give it some stability. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very lightly kind of sketch that line. I'm not going to just like go drag down because I might mess it up and then it'll just be ruined. Because that's one problem. If you mess up on the eyeliner, then you've got to take off some of the eyeshadow and kind of start over. So I'm just kind of building that line. And then once I get that, I'm going to go back up to the tip of it and I'm just going to swoop it down to connect it to the rest of the eyeliner. And fill it in. And then you can play with that if you want. If you want to make it more like curvy or more dramatic, I can add to it. If you mess up under the bottom, if it doesn't, and this line honestly does look a little bit ragged right now. And at some point I'm going to be like, you know, it's good enough, I don't care. But if you were not satisfied with it, you could go in with the concealer and just kind of like try to erase the part that you, I mean, you're not really erasing it, you're covering it up, but it seems like you're erasing it. And you can already see how that has lifted my eye up and made my eye look not, I mean, not saying it was droopy, but make it look kind of slanted. Now I'm going to try to do this eye. I always have more trouble with my left eye for a couple reasons. I don't usually have trouble doing this part. It's the wing I have trouble with. Try to get as close to your lash line as you can because you don't want part of it to show. And getting the wings to be even is difficult too. And honestly, if you wanted to just wear your eyeliner like this and not do the wing, you could do that too. So part of the reason this eye is harder for me to do is because you can see it's more hooded than the other eye. This extra skin that hangs down, when I try to do the swoop thing, it gets all broken up. So again, I'm going to go and, oh, this is something I forgot to mention with the other eye. You want it to kind of look like a continuation of your lower lash line. So, I know I've seen some people say not to do this, but it worked for me. Just pull this up so that it's not so